Hey, highly favored woman. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, highly favored woman. Welcome back to the Highly Favored Woman Podcast. The podcast for women who are ready to elevate their lives, ready to elevate their marriages, ready to elevate their careers, ready to elevate their businesses, and thrive in every role that they play. Okay, I'm your host, Life Coach Noni. And I am more than blessed to be here today, to be sharing here with you again in this new season. Like, can you believe it is literally, we are in season 2, okay? This is the opening part of season 2 of the podcast. And who would have thought that an idea that was brought out from a coaching session, my coaching session with my own coach 3 years ago in 2021, around about this time, I don't know the exact date, to be honest, but I know it was definitely around this time. And I shared how I wanted to have a podcast, but I have been procrastinating. And here we are, right? Here we are. I think we are 50 episodes in. And yeah, I am so blessed to be here. I am absolutely feel grateful to be here for sharing season 2, and thank you so much for everyone who has listened, every highly favored woman who has listened to the podcast, who has shared the podcast with their friends and family. And you have just been such a champion for the vision behind the Highly Favored Woman. And we've gone through leaps and bounds. We've changed. There's been some changes going on the last few years, but you have stuck it through. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really do appreciate it. And onwards and upwards, because God has given us a vision that is bigger than I ever imagined for Highly Favored Woman. Okay, so now that the pleasantries are done, I I promise you, season 2 is going to be one of those seasons where we're going to laugh, we're going to cry, we're going to comfort each other, we're going to have some coffee together, and we're going to learn, okay? We're going to evolve. We're going to become the women that God has called us to be, because we are now in a season of redefining. We're in a season of realigning. We're in a season of thriving. Those three is what the season is all about: redefining, realigning, and thriving. And so if you're a highly favored woman and you're listening to this podcast, or you're watching me, shout out from YouTube. Whoop, whoop, whoop. If you didn't know, we now have a YouTube channel, which we've always had, but I have not been consistent. So now this podcast is going to be both on every podcast channel, audio, and also the video is going to be on YouTube. So do go on YouTube and click subscribe, and click follow, and click like, and click share. Okay, shameless plug. Okay, but yeah, we are redefining, we are realigning, and we are thriving for season 2 of the podcast. And to kickstart the season, I am just going to share with you some key lessons that I have learned so far in my 30s. Okay, I would say in my 20s, mid 20s to 30s. I am 36. I'm not shy to share my age. I am 36, turning 37 this year, and 8 years married. It was our 8-year anniversary yesterday, our legal 8-year anniversary, and then we have our white wedding anniversary tomorrow on the 6th of March. And you know what? There's so many things that I have learned over the years. I got married just before I turned 28, and I became a mom at 29. And life has just been a whirlwind since then. So I have learned some lessons, and what I thought, what better way to start the season 2 of the podcast than me sharing with you some of the lessons that I have learned over the last, I would say, 10 yeah 10, 12 years, okay, sharing with you. And these are the lessons that have helped to redefine me, have helped to realign my goals, realign the vision that God has called me to do and to be, but also have allowed me to thrive in every season of my life. And I mention season of my life instead of area of my life because we all go through different seasons as women, right? We go through a season of singlehood, we go through a season of courting, we go through a season of marriage, we go through a season of becoming moms, we go through seasons in changing our careers, we go through seasons in our spiritual life. Those are seasons, but they require one woman, right? One woman who is you to go through those seasons and to adapt to each season that life throws at you. But the way you adapt in it, will determine what the season turns out to be, right? What you do in the season will determine the result of the season, the result of who you become during the season, and the result of who you end up as when that season ends and you go into another season. Okay, so ride with me here. Okay, so my key lessons that I'm going to share with you that have helped to redefine, realign, and help me thrive in all the different seasons of my life. And the three main seasons I'm going to talk about is the season that I chose to, you know, to go after me, right? The season where I chose to go after me, go after what God had called me to, which was a season of, of leaving my comfortable zone, my comfortable mode, and going into somewhere that was strange and different, right? That was season number one. Season number two is my season of getting into marriage, right? Becoming a mom. That is one season, okay? It is a continuous season, but nevertheless, it is a season that you need to enter into and you mold yourself as you grow in that season, okay? And then number three is the season of me now realigning all these past seasons and, thriving in each and every of the seasons of my life, okay? So without further ado, highly favored woman, grab a coffee. I don't have mine today because I'm trying to stay away from coffee because your girl has been having a lot of lattes recently, but I will be having my coffee next week, best believe, because I do love a latte. Okay, shout out to all the latte companies. Hello, I love you here. If you want to sponsor an episode, hello. But yeah, so lesson number one that I have learned, right, was being true to who you are. That was being true to who I am. And for me, this lesson was learned, I would say, 2010, 11, but mainly 2011 when I was doing my final year of university. That was a lesson for me where a lot was happening in my life. I was going through a lot, emotionally, physically. I was going through a lot. And I believe that was a season where I was being pruned, okay? Being pruned to let go of things that would not serve me in future, would not serve me in the plan that God had for my life, and staying true to who I am, right? I was living in Manchester at that time, and I remember having this feeling that I need to move, right? I need to move, but I didn't know where to move to. I didn't know I need to move down south, right? Because I was up north. I need to move down south. But I didn't know how I was going to have that move. I didn't know where I was going to leave with that move. I had just finished uni in 2011. I finished uni in 2011. This was like beginning of 2012. Yeah, this was beginning 2012. No, end of, I can't remember the year. Okay. It was that time. Okay. It was that time. And I remember just feeling like I needed to move. And I had a good job. I had a good graduate job, and I was, I was living my life in Manchester. I was having so much fun. I was literally in a space where I could grow, and I could grow my career. I could grow my relationships, my friendships, and I really could become, the woman that God wanted me to be. But I knew that there was more to life than me staying in that place. I knew that I wanted more for my life. I knew that God was calling me for more, but I didn't know what that more was. And so I had to go through a phase of pruning. And that phase was mainly the phase where everything that I thought was, God was literally taking away. Everything I thought I knew about me, God was taking away. And it was a moment where I had to question and say, but God, this is not what you and I, it's not what I prayed for, right? This season of tears, this season of me losing excessive weight, this season of me crying, this season of me losing friends, season of me losing relationships that I thought, were for life. This is not how I pictured this new season of my life of graduating and now working, right? And finishing uni. But I trusted God in that season, right? And I came and I looked for a job down south and I found a job and I moved. I moved in faith, right? I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what was going on, but I moved in faith. And in that season of pruning and me moving, there's a lot of things that I shed, right? There's a lot of things that I let go of in that season. And at that moment in time, there were moments where I felt like, why am I doing this? Like, even when I moved down south, it's like, why am I doing this, Lord? It's hard. It is hard. I could just go back, right? Go back to my comfort zone, go back and say, yeah, I tried it. It didn't work. But I didn't. I stayed the course of being true to who God was calling me to be. As hard as it was, I stayed that course and stayed in that place. And so that's lesson number one, because staying in that place meant that I was evolving. I was redefining who I was. And in the moment of redefining who you are, there's a lot of things that you need to let go of. There's a lot of things that you need to adopt. There's a new version of you that you need to get acquainted to. Okay. Because in this moving season that I was in, I was finding out things about me like, oh, hi. Okay, Noni, you like this. Okay, you don't like this. This is the sort of friends that you want to have now. This is what you want to have for your life. This is where you want to live. These are the sort of, this is the church where you want to go to. So there was a lot of things that were shifting in that season, but they were shifting for the better for me. Yes, it was hard in that season. Oh my God, it was hard. But staying the course meant that I managed to go through the season of pruning. I managed to go through that season. You know that song, a fine wine, right? Where in the pruning, it's in the, in the squeezing where fine wine is produced. That is literally what happens when you are on a journey of being true to who you are, or being on a journey of finding out who God called you to be. There's a lot of pruning, there's a lot of squeezing that is going on through that season. But ultimately, if you stay through the course, you are going to be like fine wine. You are going to be like fine wine, sis. And you are going to feel as if like, God, thank you. Thank you for the season that you've taken me through, because if I hadn't gone through that season, I would not be the fine wine that you have called me to be. I would not be the woman that you have called me to be. I would not have learned the lessons that I needed to learn in that season. So that's lesson number one. Lesson number two that I learned that I have learned in my life so far in the last 10, 11, 12 years is making the right decisions. Okay. So making the right decisions in the sense of when you finally decide to do something that is very different from your normal, okay, from what people know you as, or know you as what to do, right? And are very different from the decisions that you normally make. It's often hard for people to understand that. And it's often hard for you too to understand that, because there's always that temptation of wanting to go back to the old decisions that you need to make. And it's about saying, I'm trusting myself in this decision. I don't know what it will yield, but I trust that whatever result it will yield will be good for me. It might not feel good making the decision. It might not feel good going through the decision that I had made, but I know that ultimately it will be good for me. And sometimes it can be a bad decision. But how will you know what a bad decision is if you don't make a decision? Right? At some point, you need to make a decision about something else, and you never know whether it's going to be good or bad. What you know, true for yourself, is that you are going to show up as the best version of yourself in that decision. And so, in the last 10 years, I would say personally, I have learned how to make the right decisions, but also question the decisions that I make. And so, as a highly favored woman, one thing that you need to do, right, as you make decisions for your life is make the right decisions, but also question the decisions you are making. Right? I know. Like, Hononi, you're telling me to make the right decision, but also question the decision. Yes. The reason why I'm saying question the decision is because we are so in our heads as highly favored women, right? We read a lot of books, we read a lot of information, we're taking a lot of information. We are so in our feelings as well. And sometimes we make decisions based on our feelings, but how you feel in that moment is going to be different to how you feel 15 minutes later or how you feel tomorrow. I have made decisions in my life based on how I feel. And best believe me, 3 days later, I'm like, no, actually, no, wrong decision. Mm-mm, wrong decision. Let's turn back. Let's turn back and make a new decision. And that is why it's important for you to question the decision that you are making when you are making it. Ask yourself the pros and cons of that decision. Take a moment and think about that decision. Go back, think about it, and come back and make a decision. Okay. And that's something that I've had to learn over the last 10 years of my life. Even in my business, in running the Highly Favored Woman community, and coaching a community, I've had to question my decisions because I've made decisions based on my feelings before. But it's always good to just go back and question your decisions, and also finding someone that you can talk to who will question the decisions that you are making if you're unable to be true to yourself and make the decision and question yourself as well. So that is lesson number 2, not being afraid of making the decisions, not being afraid of saying, yes, I want this, or no, I don't want this, because you are worried that, okay, you are breaking someone's feelings. It's okay. You're a grown woman. You can take it. You can take it. You can take it. You can take making the wrong decisions. You can take the results of those decisions and the impact of those decisions on other people, because you're a grown woman. What we don't want as highly favored women is you to stay in the place of indecision, because the place of indecision means that you're not growing, you're not redefining, you're not realigning, and you're not thriving. You're just staying in the same place. You're staying in your comfort zone. And part of being a highly favored woman is moving away from your comfort zone and going to a different space where you can realign yourself with who you desire to be, how you desire to show up, and actually being that person and being that woman and being that mom as well. Okay, lesson number 3 that I have learned is following a path not known. I mentioned this before about following a path not known when I moved from up north to down south and I didn't know what was happening. But I am talking about it in the sense of trusting God, right? Having faith over the fear, okay? Trusting God and saying, I don't know exactly what it is that you're calling me to do, but I'm going to take the right step and do it. I remember when I started Highly Favored Woman, all I knew, I remember, was that I wanted to empower women. I wanted to build a community of women who are, willing, ready. They've done the work, but it's not been enough. They've watched all the YouTube videos, they've listened to the podcasts, they've read the books, they've read the manuals, they've got all the downloads, they've done all the free challenges, free workshops. They've done the work and it's worked for them a little bit, but they know there's more. And so I wanted to have this community of women who know that they're meant for more in life, and they're willing to go out and get it. They're willing to do the work. They're willing to be putting themselves in an uncomfortable position so that they can be comfortable later. But I did not know exactly how it was going to be. I did not know where to begin. I did not know, who was even going to listen to this podcast or watch me on YouTube. But I did it. I followed through, right? And this morning I read something from one of my online mentors, and she was quoting the story of Moses. And funny enough, the kids and I were watching it this morning, the story of Moses, as I was getting them ready for school. How, they had to go to the Red Sea before God parted it, right? The Israelites had to believe for a better world, for a better place, for, not slavery, for, a land of milk and honey before they saw it, right? And when they were on their way there were obstacles along the way. There was the big sea, right? How were they going to cross it? But God then parted the sea because they were already there. He was not going to part the sea while they were still in Egypt. No, why would he do that? He needed them to make them faith moves first, and then he's going to part the sea for them. And that's what he did. And that's what God calls you to be as a highly favored woman. That you move forward with the desires, with the goals, with the visions, the things that you desire, and then he's going to make the way. Because the vision that he has given you as a highly favored woman for your family, for your marriage, for your career, for your business, for yourself is enough to kickstart the journey. But you cannot complete the journey without him. This is where realigning comes into place. Because you can go proceed, but if you are not aligned with his word, with his vision for your life, sis, you're just going to go. And you know what? You will thrive. You will thrive, right? But what we are talking about as highly favored women is thriving in alignment with God's word for your life, and finding a path and following a path that you don't know the result, but you know within you that you have been equipped to succeed in that path. But first, you need to take the action. That was lesson number 3 for me when I took the action. Firstly, to move, to move towns, to move cities, without knowing exactly, what was going to happen, for a job that I only lasted 2 weeks, and then I left because it wasn't working out. But I wasn't going to go back. I trusted the path that I was on, even though I didn't know where it was going to lead me. But I trusted and I stayed the course. Okay, so that is lesson number 3. And I don't know if you are in this journey at the moment, highly favored woman, and you're listening to me and you're thinking, there's something in me that I've always wanted to do. There's something in me that has been telling me to do this. God has been telling me, giving me sign upon sign upon sign that I need to do this, but I have not taken the step because I feel like I need God to literally part the Red Sea for me before I do anything. Sis, God is waiting for you to move. God is waiting for you to move so you can part, so that he can part the Red Sea for you, so that you can cross over to where you are meant to be. So stop holding back. Have faith over your fears and start walking, and God will part that sea for you. Lesson number 4 that I have learned in the last 10 years is who I become in the midst of all the seasons changing in my life. Because the woman that I was is not the woman that is going to go through, is going through these changes, is not the woman who's going to end after all these changes in seasons. And so I wanted to come here and just share with you that there's a certain woman that you become when you are going through these different seasons of your life. And that woman will determine the journey, how long it becomes, the experience in that season, and who she ends up as in that season. So you might be going through a season of becoming a new mom, and you're trying to redefine this new season. You're trying to realign with yourself in this new season. And you're still trying to show up for everybody and yourself as well. You are going through a change. You are going through something different, something that you don't know yet. You've not walked before. It's not like a relationships where you've been in a relationship. You know what? You know the red flags, right? And the green flags. But in this new season of motherhood, you don't know the red flags. You don't know the green flags. You are taking it one day at a time. But in you taking it one day at a time does not mean that you should neglect yourself. It does not mean that you should forget the woman that God has called you to be. It's about realigning that old version of yourself and this new version of you, and understanding who she is, what she requires, how she requires it, when she requires it, and what she does with it when it's finally handed over to her. Lesson number 5 that I have learned, right, is to keep it moving. Keep it moving, sis. One thing that, that is amazing about being a highly favored woman is you keep it moving. Regardless of whatever season it is in your life, you keep it moving because it's important for you to keep it moving. Because keeping it moving means that you're moving faith over fear. You are following, the scripture that says, "Do not fear, for I'm with you." Right? You are following the purpose that God has called you to. You are aligning yourself with the woman that God has called you to be. And so that's what I wanted to encourage you on today by sharing those 5 key lessons that I have learned. Number 1, being true to who you are is very important. Number 2, making the right decisions for you and your family. Number 3, following a path that you do not know yet. Number 4, who you become in the midst of the season determines how the season ends and how you will be, who you will be at the end of the season. And number 5, to keep it moving. There were so many times that I felt like giving up, but I kept it moving. And if I hadn't kept it moving and I hadn't kept the faith and I hadn't kept looking at my vision board and trusting and believing God that the season of pruning and the season of squeezing is going to go away, I would not have kept it moving. But keeping it moving has opened doors for me that no man could open, only but God. And that is what I want for you, highly favored woman, as we begin this new season of season 2 of the podcast, is that as you redefine who you are, as you realign your goals, your identity with who God has called you to be, as you start to thrive in every role and in every season that you are in, that you will stay true to who you are. You will stay true to who God has called you to be, and you will stay the course of the season that God has called you to. And with that being said, I would love to invite you, highly favored woman, to join me for a 3-day challenge workshop, if you want to call it that way, from the 25th to the 27th of March. It's going to be online, and especially for you, highly favored woman, if you're going through a season in your life where you are trying to redefine your identity, right? You're trying to redefine who you are, who you desire to be, how you get there. And you want to know how to redefine it, how to realign your goals, your visions with who you desire to be and the season that you're currently in. And you want to thrive in 2024 and not allow 2024 to just coast by, then I invite you, because this challenge workshop is going to be the one thing that will help you in 2024. And I believe and I pray that, I've prayed that this is going to be a game changer for a lot of women who are going to be taking part in this challenge. And so I invite you, just click the link in the show notes and sign up for the workshop. Invite your friends, invite your sisters, invite your mamas, going through the same season of redefining, realigning, and thriving. And yeah, let's connect on DM, and let's do the challenge together, because I do believe that it is going to be a game changer for you. And it's a brand new challenge. I've never run this challenge before. I've done the vision board challenges before, I've done mindset challenges before, but this one is a brand new challenge. And I'm excited about it. Very, very excited about it, because it is leading up to me opening doors to a brand new program that I've never run before. And I'm excited about this program, because it is going to be a game changer for you after you've done the challenge as well, because it is going to keep you accountable to the things that you say you want to achieve in 2024, highly favored woman, and the woman that you desire to be as well, and the mom, the wife, the career woman, the business woman that you desire to be as well. And so, yeah, I invite you, click the link down below or send me a DM on Instagram. Let's connect. And yeah, I'll see you in the next episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share on YouTube and on every podcast audio channel. And let's connect on Instagram. And yeah, let's elevate our lives, elevate our goals. Let's become the highly favored women that God has called us to be. I'm your host, Life Coach Noni, and it has been a pleasure to be sharing here with you my key lessons, my 5 key lessons that I've learned in the last 10 years. And I look forward to seeing you next week for a brand new episode. Stay blessed. Bye.